All right. How's everybody doing? What's up, Kyle? How you doing? Hopefully I can get the bracket to show. Or not the bracket, but the games. I don't know why it's not showing. Let me just delete that real quick. Scale that down a little bit. If everything is going right, you definitely can't see the thing though, the games, which that's not a great thing. Let me just hold on a minute. Maybe if I do this, it'll work. Sorry about this, guys. Properties, Chrome. Still not working. Alright, I may just have to do a window capture, or a browser capture. That would probably work. Or display, that's what I'm talking about, display. Yeah, for some reason, this isn't working. If anyone knows anything about OBS and window captures, I'd appreciate it if you could help, but for now I think I'm just gonna do a browser capture. I'm assuming that my microphone and stuff is working good, because that wasn't an issue before. But if someone that's watching could verify that, that would be great. Oh, okay. There we go. Except, let's make it, you're good, SVC. 1920 by 1080. There we go. That's better. Properties. The first games should be going soon, hopefully. Let me go ahead and crop this, I guess. Nope, too much. Perfect. And top, I'll crop it 250. 275 actually. Close. Alright. There we go. Alright, there we go. Does this look good to everyone? It should. Alright, the first games are underway. We should be getting the scores soon. Let's see if we just refresh here. We should get it. Go back in. Midwest Conference Tournament. And so in the first round, Kansas defeats Western Kentucky. That's not a surprise. 100-42. We'll pull up that box score in a little bit. Kansas State against VCU. Wildcats win 78-56. That's a little bit of a surprise how not close that game is, and of course now VCU will probably not make the tournament. They are definitely a bubble team. West Virginia and Iowa State. This one was a lot closer than I thought it would be. West Virginia pulls it out though, 96-91. That means that West Virginia and Kansas State will play again, and Wichita State beats Marquette 73-51. Not really much of a challenge for them, which means that wait, no, I got that wrong. Yeah, Kansas will play Kansas State, and West Virginia will play Wichita State. The second round of the North bracket. So not too many surprises there all around. I mean, Western Kentucky did about as good as we thought they would. They fall to 2-29 on the year. Kansas remains unbeaten. They're 31-0 now, I believe. Wichita State goes to 27-4. Marquette will fall to 11-20, so a rough year for them, I guess. Kansas State improves to 20-11, which means even if they lose to the undefeated Kansas team, I think they're still probably in the tournament. VCU is going to be an interesting story. They're 15-16 now, which means they will probably be on the outside looking in. But they had a decent year. They had a solid start to the year, but then they just really fell apart during conference play. West Virginia is now 19-12, which means they're probably in a pretty similar spot to K-State. And Iowa State will fall to 16-15, which means they are probably also out. I'm going to see if we can get any coaches in here to maybe get an interview. As a course coming up after this, we will have the, let's see, which one do we have after this? I think it's PCC. Oh, you want to be interviewed? All right. There we go. We may have a coach joining us soon for a little bit of an interview. Maybe not. We'll see. Probably not. Maybe a little bit later. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was looking at what conference is coming up after this. The schedule will be Midwest and the SEC, then the PCC, Big North, and ACC. ACC is definitely the premier conference, I guess. They're probably going to have a lot of teams. And as we're sitting here waiting still for the next results, I believe it'll be the second round of the North. Or no, it's the South Division first round. Let me just refresh the page again here. Midwest. Alright, in the first round of the Midwest, number 1 Oklahoma beats number 8 Texas Tech 95-54. Pretty solid effort there by Oklahoma. Not really surprised though. Memphis defeats SMU 72-58. Once again, not really too surprising. Oklahoma State and Baylor. Baylor upsets the Cowboys 90-81. It's been a little bit of a weird season for the Cowboys. They had a couple good non-conference wins, but also a lot of bad losses. Then we have number 2 Texas, number 7 TCU. TCU hangs around and keeps it close, but Texas pulls out the win 74-63. So let me just take a look at the records. 1 second. So Oklahoma, of course, wins again. They go up to 27-4, matching Wichita State for the second best record in the conference. Texas Tech falls to a solid 1-30 on the year. They also lose 3 seniors, so they may even get worse. Memphis was able to defeat SMU. They go to 17-14, keeping their tournament hopes alive. SMU is going to fall to 12-19, so they are most likely not going to be in. Oklahoma State lost. They fall to 19-12, which puts them definitely on the bubble. They're going to have to wait and see until tomorrow to see if they are in. Baylor beat them. They improved to 11-20, so they're probably going to have to win the Big North or the Midwest tournament to get in. And then Texas, they hung on and beat TCU 74-63. They're now 25-6. TCU falls to 7-24. So next up, we will have the Midwest North second round. Let's take a look at some of the best performers from that first round. We had, let me see here. I'm just gonna pull up a bunch of the box scores. We had Ray Newman for Texas put up 19 against TCU. Victor Hines for TCU put up 19 in that game also. Let's see, in the Baylor-Oklahoma State game, Lewis Murray put up 28 for the Cowboys. Brian Thomas 19 for Baylor. Memphis SMU, we had Jerry Rhodes put up 23. Tom Bode put up 15 for SMU. For Oklahoma, all 5 of their scores went double figures, and for Texas Tech, Blakely went for 23. No other guy scored more than 6. Wichita State versus Marquette, William Evans went for 19. Van Vliet went for 11. And Ron Baker went for 9. And Marquette, they had Philip Cole go for 15 and Wilkins go for 9. West Virginia, Iowa State, all 5 starters for both teams scored in double figures, including 23 for Salinas and 17 for Rumley on West Virginia. For K-State, they had Jason Beebe go for 19. VCU had 3 guys go for 12 in their loss, and then in Kansas's 68-point win, they had Pedro DeVito go for 33. The Hilltoppers had John Jenkins for 14. No one else for more than 5. The next round should be ready to go. Let's just go ahead and refresh the page here. And it is. So, Kansas State and Kansas, KU comes out with the 88-59 win. Still undefeated and not looking like they will stop anytime soon. K-State falls to 20-12, which means they are also going to be sitting, waiting for tomorrow, not knowing if they will be in. Kansas is now 32-0 after 2 early wins. The Shockers defeat West Virginia 94-62, not even close. So that'll set up the 3rd meeting of the year between KU and Wichita State in that rivalry game. Kansas won the first 2 games quite easily, so hopefully, well, they hope that they can pull out a 3rd win this year. West Virginia is now 19-13 after the loss to the Shockers, so they are also going to be looking tomorrow to see where they're playing and if they are playing. Wichita State's now 28-4, of course, going in that matchup with Kansas at 32-0. The box scores from these games: Kansas, in their victory, got 21 from DeVito and 18 from Fabella. K-State got 14 from Ramirez and 14 from Timberlake. One other guy in double figures. That's it for them. And in Wichita State's 32-point victory, they got 21 from Evans, 13 from Baker, and 13 from Van Vliet. West Virginia got 16 from Bennett, 14 from Mathis, and 13 from McCullough. Nobody else in double figures for them. Let's take a look at the South second round. For the South second round, we had Oklahoma, Memphis, Texas, and Baylor. Oklahoma handily defeated Memphis 87-60. Their leading scorer in that game was Christie with 17. Texas Tech got 16 from Rhodes. No one else scored in double figures. Sorry, Memphis got 16 from Rhodes. And Texas defeated Baylor by 22. Their leading scorer was Hugh McGee with 33. Baylor added 23 with Brian Thomas, and that will mean that the 1 and 2 seeds from both the North and the South will be moving on. Kansas looking to remain undefeated. Wichita State looking to hopefully punch an automatic bid into the tournament. Kansas is now 33-0. I already said that. I already went through their records. Whoops. Oklahoma, after their win, is now 28-4. Memphis is 17-15. They're probably out. Texas is going to be 27-6, and Baylor is going to fall to 12-21. Let's see. We are waiting on the next round now, which is the divisional championship games. The winner of these two will advance to the conference championship, which of course guarantees, well, not guarantees, but means that you are potentially playing for an automatic bid. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll down here if I can. I am not sure how I can scroll down. That's embarrassing. Oh, height. There we go. Alright, properties. I just need to uncrop it real quick. No, I don't. Alright, so in the North, Kansas defeats Wichita State pretty handily, 82-63, which guarantees them a spot in the conference championship game. Wichita State will fall to 28-5, which means they are most likely at a top 3 seed, and Kansas goes to 33-0 into the championship game. And then in the South, it'll be Oklahoma and Texas in the classic rivalry game. Let's wait for them. Let's wait for the score on that one. Properties, refresh. And Oklahoma will defeat Texas 87-68, which means both of the number 1 seeds are headed to the conference championship game. The leading scorers in both games, in the WSU-KU game, 19 for Nicholas Allen of the Jayhawks, 17 for Van Vliet of Wichita State. William Evans, the Shocker star, was 0 for 11 with no points. In the Oklahoma-Texas game, Christie added 29, and Ray Newman had 22 for the Longhorns, and was not enough though. So now the championship game will be between Kansas and Oklahoma. The 2 number 1 seeds make it there. Oklahoma is looking to end KU's perfect season, and of course Kansas is looking to all but guarantee their 1 seed and, well, home court advantage in the national tournament, which they pretty much already have. So let's see how that one turns out for both teams. There we go. Of course, if Kansas can go undefeated, it would be the first undefeated season in NCBCA. And yeah, did I say that right? And yeah, NCBCA history, of course, first season in history too. So I don't know how impressive that is. And the result is in. We just go ahead and refresh. There we go. And Kansas is able to make it past the Sooners 85-62. So far Kansas has not had any competition. They finish 34-0 on the year headed into the tournament. Oklahoma wins 3 games, loses 1. They fall to 29-5. Leading scorer for Kansas was once again Pedro DeVito with 18. For the Sooners, it was Padilla and Christie with 10 each, and then Daniel Clapp with 11. No one else in double figures for them. So Kansas does not lose a game all year. Looking here, their closest game was, I can't even see a close game in there. It looks like their closest game was against Illinois, where they only won by 7, 69-62, and they will head into the national tournament unbeaten. So next up, we will have the SEC with teams like Kentucky and Florida. That'll be coming up in a couple minutes. For now, we're going to take a little break, and we will be back with the SEC tournament. All right, everyone, we are back on the for the SEC tournament. Let me just make sure I have a proper window capture now, so that's a good thing. Hopefully everything works well. If it doesn't, just message me on Discord and I'll check it out. I wish I had a second monitor so I could I don't know. Here we go. I wish I had a second monitor so I could do that dual monitor thing, but we'll have to settle with this for now. The matchups and okay, here we go. The matchups for the first round in the North is Kentucky and Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Georgetown, Tennessee, Cincinnati, South Carolina. Then in the South, it's Arkansas A&M, Mississippi and Missouri, Alabama and LSU, Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. The scores for this round are almost coming in. If we look, top two teams, Kentucky and Arkansas. Arkansas is 21-9. Kentucky is 28-2. So Arkansas, I mean, not the best. They play in a weak West Division, and they may need a couple wins to even get into the tournament, despite being the 1 seed. Auburn, team that the Wildcats are playing, are 2-28. Their best player is arguably worse than Kentucky's worst player, and A&M 8-22. So an upset's definitely possible there. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it could. Cincinnati and Vanderbilt are the 2 seeds. Vandy is 19-11, so once again they may need a couple wins to get in. And Cincinnati is 23-7. They're pretty solidly in at this point. So Mississippi State is who Vanderbilt will be playing. 4-26 there. However, they did get more conference wins than A&M. I don't think that'll be an upset. Vanderbilt should take care of them, and then South Carolina is 6-24. Cincinnati should take care of them. You would hope, and then Florida and Mississippi, the 4 seeds. Let me just refresh. All right, we're good. Florida is 18-12. They're definitely a bubble team looking for a couple wins. Mississippi 14-16. They're probably out unless they win the whole tournament. So they're not really looking for anything specific in this tournament. Georgia, Missouri, 5 seeds in the East and the West. Georgia's 13-17. They're also pretty much out of it, and Missouri's 12-18. So Georgetown and LSU. Of course, Georgetown first year in the SEC. They're 21-9. They're probably looking for at least 1 win, get themselves in. And LSU's 15-15, led by the freshman Ben Simmons, averaging 17 and 10 a game. They're probably going to need a couple wins to make it to the tournament. Tennessee and Alabama, the 6 seeds. Tennessee's 11-19. Alabama's 8-22. Neither of them really have any tournament hopes. They're just trying to play upset here. Let's take a look at the scores, and they are in. So Kentucky is going to be able to take care of Auburn to go to 29-2. Florida falls to Georgia by 3 points. That'll be a tough loss that I'm sure Florida will want back, as they now will not get into the NCAA tournament. Georgetown falls to Tennessee 72-73, so that upset may very well cost Georgetown a trip to the tournament, as they're now 21-10. And they're going to be a couple games behind some of the other bubble teams. Cincinnati escapes from South Carolina 76-72, so they're going to move on to play Tennessee, and of course Kentucky will play Georgia. So the leading scorers, Kreisman for Kentucky adds 23 in their win. Weber has 19 for Auburn. Georgia defeats Florida 73-70. They get 19 from Stewart, 16 from McKenzie. Florida only gets 13 from Baker. No one else is in double figures. Let's see. Tennessee beats the number 3 seed Georgetown in overtime 73-72. They're led by Elliott with 20, Rhodes with 10, and Robbins with 11 off the bench. Tennessee gets solid efforts from Warren, Romeo, and Jones. They all put up double figures, but no one else can score for the Volunteers. Then Cincinnati escapes South Carolina. They get 10 from Wolf, 11 from Murillo, and 12 from Beverly, 15 from Moore. South Carolina gets 16 from Downing, 13 from Hall, 10 from Hernandez, and 10 from Watson. They manage to, but Cincinnati manages to hold them off. So now we're just going to be waiting on the South. Already went through the records for them and everything, so let's see. I don't really know if any of these games have too much of an effect. If any of the higher seeds lose, then they may be on the bubble. I mean, an Arkansas loss may put them out of it, which is interesting because they are, of course, the 1 seed in the South. They really haven't really had a great year. They're just playing a weak conference, and I will be right back. Just going to leave this up here. All right, we're back. SEC South first round. We got Arkansas beating Texas A&M 82-52. So that'll be a much needed win for Arkansas. Stay pretty much in the tournament. They got 31 from Baker, their point guard. Arkansas got 13 from Roy Johnson, their shooting guard. Missouri defeats Mississippi 69-68. Mississippi gets 17 from Buckland, 15 from Johnson. Missouri gets 24 from Shepherd. Let's see. Alabama defeats LSU, so that knocks LSU and Ben Simmons out of the tournament. Simmons leads LSU with 14 and 10. Davis added 18. For Alabama, Adams had 14. Ray had 15. Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. Vanderbilt has 22 from Guzman, 13 from Harrow, 10 from Weber, 10 from Ventura, 10 from Irwin. Mississippi State gets 16 from Luan, 11 from Smith. And we are ready for the second round. Oh, I need to move these up. I forgot about that. I should probably change them to a different color too. Properties, color, black. Background color, white. There we go. Hopefully you guys can read them now. White. Alright, perfect. Hopefully. There. Alright, sorry about that, guys. We are ready for the second round. If we just refresh, Kentucky defeats Georgia 87-71. No surprises there. Wildcats get 23 from Kreisman, 16 from Bryant, 14 from Carter. Georgia gets 16 from McKenzie, 14 from Delgado, and 15 from Stewart, 12 from Thompson, but basically nothing from everyone else as they fall, mostly because of their defense. Cincinnati outlasts Tennessee 75-64. They only led by 4 at halftime, but they had a strong second half. Crisp got 17, Lynch got 15, and Washington got 11 for him. For Tennessee, Romeo got 14, Jones got 14, and Huffman got 12. So now we're just waiting on the South second round. Let's see. Is it ready yet? No. So that will probably eliminate Georgia and Tennessee. Well, almost definitely will eliminate Georgia and Tennessee from any kind of postseason play that they might hope for. Ready for the next round of scores. Let's see what will happen between Arkansas and Missouri and Alabama and Vanderbilt. Both those teams are still in need of some wins to guarantee their spot in the tournament, so we'll see if they can get them here. Let's see. I'm sure that they will be coming up soon. What a big win for both Kentucky and Cincinnati, though. I mean, they are pretty much guaranteed to go to the tournament now. I mean, Kentucky was already, but for Cincinnati, that's huge for them. As they're gonna be Cincinnati. They're gonna be 24-7, 24-8 now at the very least, which is probably good enough to get them in. As Arkansas will hang on to beat Missouri 72-65. 11 for Matthews, 10 for Johnson, 13 for Kelly off the bench for Arkansas, 16 for Borgman, 12 for Miles for Missouri. That's all they pretty much got, so not a good showing from them. Vanderbilt and Alabama. Vanderbilt gets 16 from Guzman, 11 from Ventura, 10 from Taylor, 12 from Weber, 10 from Irwin in their win. Alabama gets 16 from Ray off the bench and 10 from Ginn. Nobody else in double figures, so they just can't score enough to win. And now we're just waiting on the championship, the division championships, and then of course the conference championships. So the division titles will be between Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Cincinnati, and Kentucky. So once again, the 1 and 2 seeds will be right there on top for the second tournament in a row. Of course, the PCC is coming up after this, and then the Big North. PCC is an interesting tournament. I mean, they have a lot of teams that are right on the bubble. Not sure if they will make it in or not. Alright, so the North Division Championship, Kentucky will easily beat Cincinnati 84-57. They get 24 from Rutherford, 11 from Glass, 10 from Carter, 19 from Bryant. Cincinnati gets 10, Washington, Beverly, and Crisp, and 11 from Wolf in their loss. So both of these teams are going to make the tournament, no question. Now we're just waiting on the South, which is Arkansas and Vanderbilt. And both of these teams should be in, but a win here would mean that they are almost certainly in. And of course, Kentucky is probably going to crush whichever one of these teams win this. Of course, one of the disappointments of the SEC season was the Florida Gators. They only got a 5 seed and they fell in the first round. So, definitely a disappointment for them. I'm sure their coach is hoping that they can turn it around for next year. They should be able to, but if they get a good recruiting class, because of the history there, but of course that's not a guarantee anywhere now with all the new recruits and stuff. So let's see what the result of the South Championship will be, and Arkansas does defeat Vanderbilt, so it'll be another number 1 versus number 1 matchup. Arkansas gets 24 from Baker, 17 from Lopez, 16 from Matthews, and 16 from Waltz. Vanderbilt gets 17 from Ventura, 14 from Guzman, 12 from Taylor, 11 from Haro. As they just can't put up enough offense to stay with Arkansas. They lose 71-98, so it'll be Kentucky and Arkansas for the SEC Conference title. Of course, Kentucky from the north, Arkansas from the south. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, all 4 of the teams that are in the finals are probably going to be, well, almost definitely going to be in the tournament. The only one that's kind of a bubble team is Vanderbilt, and even they should make it. So this championship game really doesn't mean anything except the auto bid, which doesn't really mean anything, and Arkansas will upset Kentucky. That'll definitely help their seeding. They win 83-82, 18 for Baker, 15 Lopez, 10 for Matthews, 20 for Carter, 17 for Kreisman, and Kentucky takes a tough loss, only their 3rd of the year. Arkansas with a big win to help their seed, though, so what a comeback, too. Outscored Kentucky by 9 in the second half after being outscored by 8 in the first. Crazy stuff right there. So next up we will have the PCC tournament. That'll be coming up in a little bit. I'm just going to take another quick break in between. I'll see you guys back with the PCC. Alright, everyone, we are back. We have the, let's see, we have the Pacific next, which features the, let's see. Oh, well, we already got some scores in here. Let's not spoil anything. Gonzaga, Wyoming, Colorado, and Colorado State. That's a rivalry game that will be played in the tournament. Creighton, Washington, Utah, Oregon State, UCLA, USC. That's another rivalry. Stanford, Oregon, BYU, Arizona State, Arizona, and California. So let's get right into it, I guess. Gonzaga, number 8, Wyoming. Gonzaga barely survives that one, 80-72. Let's see. They got 17 from Carson, 11 Bowman, and 11 Dillon. Wyoming gets 24 from Scott, 12 from, let's see, Scone, and 11 from Cutright. So Wyoming is probably eliminated from national tournament. Colorado and Colorado State in the rivalry game. Colorado barely pulls it out, despite a pretty solid comeback from Colorado State. They get 17 from Duff, 15 Purnell, and 12 Blessing. Colorado State gets 22 from Love, 19 from Thornburg. No one else in double figures. Only 2 guys scored off the bench, which I'm sure is rough for them. Alright, Creighton 90, Washington 80. Blue Jays get 22 from Mack, 17 from Kilpatrick, 15 Hammond, 19 DeYoung, 9 from Phillips. Washington gets 27 from Cobb, 11 from Murray, only 4 from Marquise Chris, who is a draft prospect, 10 from Gordon, and 15 from Delaney. Their season will end with the loss. And Utah, defeats Oregon State 101-74 behind 25 from Holmes, 21 from Furr, 18 from Filicano, 14 from Macias, and 11 from Lilly. Then Oregon State gets 18 Bodner, 17 Pierman, 15 Sendages, and that will do it for the North. Waiting on the South now. Whoops. Ready. Nice. So that probably eliminates 4 teams. Colorado State most likely won't make it. Same with Washington, Oregon State, and Wyoming, which means that we're down to about, 50 teams competing for those 32 spots. Of course, there's the 2 auto bids, though, so I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. There's going to be a lot that's going to happen tomorrow during the selection show. Still no South scores in yet. We will just wait and see on those. We don't even have the teams in there yet. I'm going to have to, of course, the UCLA-USC game is going to be interesting. UCLA, national championship favorites for a lot of people, and USC 6-24. They've got a long road up. Of course, David Jones, UCLA's one of their best players, is out for 2 more games, so that may play a factor in this one. We'll have to wait and see. Still not in yet. Let's go. Come on, Hazel. Let's get this thing going. I accidentally scrolled down too far. I think that UCLA has a pretty good shot as far as winning this one goes. They definitely have the best roster in there. Arizona is pretty good, but I just don't think that they're going to be able to compete. No players over 80, and UCLA has almost every player over 80. So let's see, South scores are in. UCLA defeats the rivals USC 89-46, big win there. They get 14 from Heisler, 22 from Pierre Johnson, 12 from Chad Wright. Of course, David Jones was out. Isaac Hamilton did not play. Bryce Alford only played 5 He had 7 points. Simmons, 11 for USC. No one else in double figures in their loss. They only shot 33% from the field. Next up, Stanford defeats Oregon 84-61. They get 26 from both Sellers and Schmid. No one else in double figures, but when two of your guys combined for 52, I don't think you really have to. Chris Boucher, I'm not really sure how you say his name, goes for 22. David Clark goes for 10. No one else in double figures. Dylan Burks has 9. BYU Arizona State. BYU gets an 89-51 win, behind 17 from Cateau, 10 from Moore, and 15 from Stanley. Also, Hannah adds 17 off the bench. Arizona State, 14 from Patterson, and 11 from Barnhard. And then Arizona Cal. Arizona runs away with this one as they should, 90-57. 17 Bunch, 17 Creamer, 15 from Terry Wallace, and 11 from Jonathan Doris for Arizona. Let's see. Cal gets 10 from Jaylen Brown, 14 Duncan, 10 Lashley, and 10 Blackford. No one else in double figures for them. They only put up 57 points. So the second round for each division will feature Gonzaga versus Colorado, Creighton versus Utah, UCLA versus Stanford, and BYU versus